let's share this with as many people as we can, you guys. I'm really excited about this conversation that we're having today. I hope y'all can hear me okay. All right, so I'm really excited. We're going to be talking to a board certified trichologist, you guys. Like, I've been wanting to do this for so long, and we're finally getting that time. Get your questions ready. Please share. There is a little button in the bottom right corner. It looks like a little arrow thingy. If you can use that, you just click it, and then it'll show a bunch of your friends. Go ahead, do me a favor, and click that button. Click all them people and press send so we can get the conversations rolling. I really want to make the most of your time. We have Miss Ynohtna Turead, one of the very first board certified trichologists in Louisiana. And y'all know how I feel about my home state. So I'm so excited to have her. I'm going to go ahead and put it. Okay, so it looks like you have to request me. I don't know why it's not letting me request you. Let me see if I could do it. Oh, there it is. Ready. We're going to be doing a couple of
Hello.
There she is. Hi.
Good evening.
Evening.
Oh, thank you
I'm
so
loving
much.
your curls. Oh my God.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to see you.
Yes, it's good to put a face outside of all of your publications, the website. And thank you so much for taking the time. I'm sure you get these requests so much, but it really means a lot because we're really trying to build something amazing right out of our bayous, right out of Louisiana. And there's so much legacy that comes out of our state as it is. So anywhere where you can pull that type of energy together, the synergy just happens. And so really appreciate you so much.
You know, and it's awesome. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. You know, one person can do a lot, but when two people link together, we can just change the world. So I'm with you on that. I truly enjoy promoting alopecia awareness and scalp health and also health and wellness. So I'm an advocate for those things. So I just thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for what you're doing. And I wish you many, many blessings and success with your business.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. I get so many questions about scalp care, and I tell people all the time, I am not a doctor, guys. I'm coming from personal experience. That is what I can share, and I can share research with you. I can share what I've read. I can share studies, but I would have to be a doctor to be able to diagnose you. So I understand you have the same perspective. You want to go ahead and put the disclosure out there.
And I appreciate that a trichologist does not diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any type of disease or disorder. But any health information, medications, consult with your primary care physician. A trichologist provides services from a holistic approach.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So you guys, if you do have questions, feel free. In the bottom right corner of your screen, there's a little air bubble thingy, and it has a question mark. You can put questions there. You can put it in the comments. Whatever you choose is totally fine. We see you. We appreciate you for being here. And like I said, we'll be doing some giveaways, including a consultation. So stick around. Make sure you get involved, ask questions, share. We really do appreciate that. So I want to go into what is a trichologist, and if you could please let us know why you decided to start your own practice.
Trichologist is a specialist that provides service from holistic approach for the hair and scalp. And I've actually this year marked 22 years in business. So I've actually been, thank you. I've actually been in the hair industry over 20 years.
That is not equal.
And so this month made 22 years in business. So it's nobody but God. I just have to say that. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Thank you. And
congrats.
I've been in the hair industry for, like I said, for over 20 years. And what I noticed, there were a substantial amount of individuals that were losing hair. And what I decided to do was be more of assistance, even though I always did, you know, provide hair styling at that time. I was into healthy hair and scalp care at that time. But I just noticed like people just kept coming to me with issues with shedding and breakage and thinning, and I just wanted to be able to assist them more. So about 13 years ago, I decided to go back to school for trichology, and I learned so much. The more and more I got involved in doing it, the more and more I just enjoyed it, had a passion for it. So as of right now, I limit hairstyling. I only style hair when it actually is for my customer. All of my clients actually receive consultations first and a microscopic hair and scalp analysis, and then we provide the services for them. But I've been in magazines nationally and internationally known for hairstyling, but healthy hairstyling. But a lot of my clients and those that I've serviced over the years, they contact me. It's like, hey, I want you to do such and such to my hair, cut style, whatever. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I no longer do that anymore. You know, but what I find now is a lot of individuals, some people are going natural. And some people think that because they're natural, the hair is healthy. And that's not always so. So what I also find is individuals come in for a consultation, and I may be getting ahead of you, okay? And I'm sorry about that. Individuals come in sometimes and they think they just have an alopecia, but they don't realize once I look at their hair and scalp with the microscope, then they may have some type of scalp disorder.
And that is where you decide whether or not you can treat them, or you'd have
it depends on what type of hair loss or scalp disorder they have. So in most cases, I'm able to provide services for them in office. If there's something beyond my scope, then I'll refer them back to their primary care physician, maybe for a laboratory question forms that I recommend, or if there's something that they need some type of topical or some type of medication, depending on the ailment of their scalp, then I may refer them to one of the dermatologists that I normally refer to.
Wow, that's amazing. So I'm glad you gave us an introduction on what you do and how that works, because I know a lot of people get confused between the dermatologist and the trichologist and the differences in what they do and what they treat and such and so forth. So I will ask you that, but I want to give your full intro, because you guys, I am not talking to just any trichologist, okay? Okay. So let me get into this bio real quick, because I know people are going to want to know more about you and your journey. So I'm going to read a little bit, but you guys stick with us. And like I said, make sure you use the little thing in the bottom right so you can share with people that you know who are really curious, who might have scalp questions. This is the time to ask, okay? So put them in the chat. So I want to make sure that we all know who we're really talking to, y'all. I'm so honored. Okay. We're talking to Ynohtna. She is one of the first board certified trichologists in the state of Louisiana. Black woman, baby. Okay. We out here. We're proud out here. Okay. And she has over 20 years of experience. Like she just said,
well, actually
22
years
right?
as an entrepreneur. It's been about, in the hair industry, it's been about maybe 24 years.
Amazing. That's amazing. And it's not an easy industry. Entrepreneurship in general is people. But she has always been into the ever evolving science of trichology. And I think that's really key in anything that you're in, that you're always abreast of what's new, what's innovative, what's next. Never stay stagnant, which is amazing. It was her childhood desire to become an icon in the hair care industry, has inspired her to become a healthy hair and scalp advocate, as you all can see already. During the early years, she knew she wanted to stand out. And so because of all these opportunities that she got, including working with Dudley Hair Care and the family of Madam C.J. Walker, I had to put that in there before any of y'all try to leave. This is who y'all talking to, okay? She is really into learning about the medical aspect associated with hair loss, okay? And she received and make sure I have this right, from the national, being named salutatorian from the National Trichology Training Institute in Stockbridge, Georgia. Also became certified through the American Medical Certification Association, as well as an affiliate of the American Hair Loss Council. And I know you guys have questions because you always ask, so put them down there. In 2020, though, which is really amazing, she obtained so many awards, numerous certifications, including medical wig installer, which I have so many questions about, evolve volumizer and laser phototherapy, and obtained awards such as the Proclamation and Key to Ascension Parish in 2020, and a proclamation from Governor John Bel Edwards proclaiming September as Alopecia Awareness Month in Louisiana. Like, if I had a round of applause sound effect,
Thank you.
it would go off right now. That is huge. And that you did that for our state. There's so many people suffering, and that's really, really amazing to highlight what they're going through and give them that attention. She's also done amazing work, and her expertise has been contributed to multiple articles, including being published in books such as Hair's How, Style, and Guide, as well as Sophisticated Hairstyles and Care Guide, and City Social magazines, not only nationally, but internationally, appeared in multiple media TV television shows, such as Vision of Race Network, ETEL Community Connection, WAFB Channel 9, and Fox 29, Lake Charles. And now she's hanging out with us. Yay. Yay. And as y'all know, there are millions of people, over 80 million people in America who are dealing with hair loss. And she's traveled abroad as well as all over the states, advocating, promoting alopecia awareness, educating us all on what we should and shouldn't be aware of, what we're doing. And she's also a volunteer for the American Cancer Society Look Good, Feel Better program, which is amazing, helping to promote positive self-image for women undergoing cancer treatment, which is such a sweet, genuine thing to do. And also known for her community service as the founder and host of the annual Back to School and Style event, where herself, hairstylists, and barbers partnered together to provide opportunities for kids to get free hair care services. So I'm really excited because it's clear that you're passionate about what you do.
Oh, thank you.
You're getting some cheers in the comments. It's just really, really sweet that you have really made your life and your career really targeted for people who just need help at the end of the day, you know? So I'm wondering, did you have mentorship along the way? Were there some key people who kind of helped push you along, or were you pretty like, nope, I got this?
Well, you know how we all have that attitude, like we think we know everything, right? But there are certain people that come to us like thorns that, you know, push us and, you know, give us those little pricks every time we need a check, you know. So I've been blessed in my career.
Amen.
I actually had a former cousin. She's passed away, where I worked in her beauty salon. And at that time, when most people my age, 19, 20 years old, they were out there partying, having a good time, I focused on, you know, what my passion was, and I'm grateful for that. So she trained me. She was hard on me, but I learned at that time my sterilization and sanitation and healthy hair care and making treatments and mixing things up and customer service, you know. So she came in at that period of my life when I've always been blessed with a family for structure, but she came in and in the industry of hair care. So that's why I learned. And most people my age at that time, they were into hairstyling. It wasn't healthy hair. So that would planted the seed of healthy hair care, beginning of my business, not just currently, but I've always was into healthy hair and scalp care. She was one of the foundations. I've been blessed to where throughout my career, I've had mentors within business and in the industry that have helped me along the way, just from words of knowledge. I mean, not making meet someone randomly, just I grab what they tell, you know, what they share with me. I've also, you know, when I go to conferences, I grab, you know, information, whatever's going to help me to become a better person. Every day I'm striving to become better in my personal life, better in my career. Anything I can do to be a blessing to someone else, I just believe that in serving. You know, I believe in my slogan actually used to be restoring hair loss one hair at a time. And I still use that from time to time, but restoring confidence. Because at that time, it's just like when people come in my office on a daily basis for their consultations, I noticed that, you know, some people are depressed, they're sad, they're going through things, and you never know what somebody's going through. You know, you may see someone and you see their face and you may think because they're a certain status that they have it all together. But when they take those wigs off or they get behind those closed doors, they're totally different people. So you never know exactly what someone's going through when they're dealing with their scalp and they're dealing with their hair and they're dealing with their health overall.
Yeah, it's very true. You end up kind of being like a counselor on top of their scalp, you know, savior, really. And you mentioned earlier that you always start off with a consultation, which might include a test. what does that usually entail? Is
Well,
it like
no, not
taking
with
a
that one
piece
in
of the
particular. I
hair or
could
the
send up
follicle?
for the lab for that one. But in my office, I start off with a private one-on-one consultation. And matter of fact, I have this. So I normally have this is my little tool here. This is one of them, where I go in and I look at the hair and scalp, and it's plugged up to either my monitor or my laptop. Where I go in and I do a microscopic analysis where they're able in the office, they're able to see exactly closer up. It's like putting some glasses on the eyes, and they're able to see close up what their hair and scalp looks like. If there's any inflammation, any bacteria, I'm able to see if there's product buildup. The how the hair follicles are at that time. They're normally coming in. I'm checking for the elasticity, porosity, density, texture of the hair. So, and a complete workup to see exactly what's going on with that person from an internal and external standpoint.
Right. And internal is so important. We have a little guide that we share with customers or potential customers that are just curious. I know for my personal scalp care journey, diet, stress, and what I was intaking was all playing a role. Especially me, it was a big thing on dairy, sugar, and like the breads, the white breads. Like, oh, and I love me a good shrimp po' boy. So it's got all.
I'm so glad you're saying that, because a lot of people they don't realize what sugars do to the hair. Preservatives, additives, artificial colors, a lot of things that we eat from an internal standpoint that are processed foods. It's not healthy for the hair. Neither, well, I'm not going to say just for the hair, but for the scalp.
Yeah.
Dairy, even though I'm one, I love cheese. Cheese causes mucus. So
I need mine.
So it's a lot of things that we love here in the South that are not really good for us. I'm guilty. I love sweets every now and then. Sweets, sugar, and I tell my clients all the time, especially when they're dealing with scalp disorders, you're going to have to cut back on the sugar.
Yeah. How do you feel about the new wave of scalp care being, I guess, a place of focus for hair care brands? Even skincare brands now are starting to think about, wait a minute, I mean, your scalp is also skin. What do you think that's because of the number of people who are complaining about scalp issues, or do you see that number going up? What's your take on that?
When it comes to alopecia, the number has increased. When it comes to scalp disorders, a lot more people are now getting into hair loss than scalp disorders. However, I noticed that a lot of your dermatologists or other professionals, they're getting on the bandwagon. And I think some of it is the bandwagon of it. It's not for the awareness. It's not for the education. It's because I have something that I'm going to sell to you that supposedly works. Now, there are some things like your product, I'm sure it helps people, and your skin is beautiful, by the way, but I think a lot of people are getting on the bandwagon. You have a testimony from sharing with me your testimony of what made you start it. That's the reason why you started doing what you're doing. Doing what I do. I enjoy helping people and being able to help them restore their hair, help restore their scalp. But I find that there are some things that are out there that can help the scalp, that can help the hair, but everything is not a one size fit all.
That's very true. And that's why you go to professional folks, so they can, you want, I don't want to say you don't want to like WebMD yourself. I mean, feel free to do so, but you need to go to a professional. Don't start messing with your scalp and picking and testing. And no, I've seen the DI, listen, I used to be her. Just go to a professional.
YouTube professional right now.
Okay. So, yeah. And that was also one of my questions I was going to get to with you, was like, what are your thoughts on that? But I'm going to wait on that one for now. I'm going to get back to it. I want to really dive into your story more and kind of, how your journey has been, because you started very young. It sounds like you had a great mentor, which is amazing. I think all of us who are looking to be entrepreneurs in whatever capacity, we really need to focus on having great mentors. I know that's been key for me. Did entrepreneurship teach you anything more about yourself that you maybe didn't know before? And can you kind of give us some of that? Because we do have some entrepreneurs in our little chat here, and I would love to know what you think
I would like to salute about your journey. All the entrepreneurs, including yourself. Entrepreneurship is not for the weak. It's not for the weak. It's more than just selling a product or selling a service. Entrepreneurship has taught me structure. It has built my character. It's taught me discipline, because when you're trying to grow a business, I'm sorry. When you're trying to grow a business, or even for those that are new and starting a business, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. And throughout my career, in the very beginning, even to now, there are certain things that I have to sacrifice for me personally that I want to get from my business. And equipment is not cheap. Products are not cheap. And especially now with everything going up. So it's just, when you're in business, it's just taking a step back and removing yourself, even though you may be the provider, or even though you may be the person selling the products, you have to take a step back and do an observation of, what do I want to be known for? And no matter what the field is, what do I want to be known for? Because when I first started in business, I did everything. I did the makeup, I did the hair, I did the upstyles, the short, everything. But it came to a point in my career where people were coming to me with hair loss issues. It was like, okay, guy, why you keep sending me people with their hair all jacked up? That's how I was, really. Because I thought I would be known for being a celebrity hairstylist or whatever like that. And when I was younger, it was, do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a nurse? I'm like, no, I don't want to see blood or anything like that. But I knew I loved hair. I ate, slept, dreamed hair, right? Even as a little girl playing with my baby dolls, you know. But what I find is, when you're in business, don't try to do so many things at one time. Now, sometimes, you know, as an entrepreneur, you can be all over the place because you're trying to do everything yourself. And what I'm learning, I'm still learning to delegate. You know, even though I have a team, you know, in my office, but I'm still I still feel like I have to be hands-on everything, and that's something I'm personally working on, to delegate. So some advice to someone who may be a newbie in entrepreneurship: find out what your niche is and work on that niche and critique your niche, and you're gonna maximize it every time. You're gonna maximize it. No one can be you but you. When I first started in business, there was no social media. There was, you know, no Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and none of that. You know, I started from scratch. And so I had Yellow Pages. I had the phone book, phone book ad. It was, newspaper ads. It was going to events, meeting people. I didn't have all that. So when it comes to like the social media, I'm okay with it, but I'm not like some of these people out here, because of the fact that I came up when you had to get out there and shake hands. Right.
Or you're right. Yeah. And throughout in your career, you were able to work with, and please correct me because I may have heard it wrong in the previous interview that I saw, that you got to work with the descendants
not
Madam
that
C.J.
at the
Walker,
moment.
who was
I was reached out by the American Hair Loss Council. They did an interview on me on last year. I think it was last January. They contacted me and myself with the previous young lady, Miss Angela, who you may have seen the interview with her segment last February.
Yeah.
And it was an interview with myself, Miss Angela, and the great-granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker. It was an interview, a collaboration, and I think it was a few other individuals that were hair loss experts from all over the world. So the article, it was an honor because, Madam C.J. Walker, hey, she was from Louisiana, born in Louisiana originally, and in the Delta area, one of the poorest parts of Louisiana. So to be a part of an article with her great-granddaughter, I felt it as an honor, because I looked up to that. I've seen the movie. I did research prior to when I first started doing hair on her, and her with her product line, and the reason why she did it, to help women with ailments, with their hair and scalp. So I mean, that was an honor for that.
That's amazing. Congrats. I mean, everything that you've done, traveling around internationally. Were there other places that you said, or that you visited, where their scalp care regimen, or maybe the types of things they did, were just completely bizarre or different, or maybe you got something from it, even though it was really like out of the norm? Just curious, because you've done so much.
What I find here in the state of Louisiana, we get things late. And it's like now a lot of people in the area are jumping on Trichology. And I've been certified, May will be 13 years that I've been certified for. It's 12 or 13, one or the other. But it's like here in Louisiana, we're getting things behind. And I'm grateful that I've always stayed abreast. But what I find is a lot of people are turning in some areas, they're turning to, some people are holistic, but then there are some that are using products that are ongoing. They have to continuously use all their life. And my approach, I prefer a holistic approach. So that way, if a person stops receiving the service, their hair is not going to just fall back out again.
That's interesting, because it's not something we don't really get that type of education. We don't know very much about the space and what that means. So let's dive into some of the scalp care issues that you see the most. We know alopecia, but there are different types.
Sure.
Can you explain
the
common
so there's
types?
Different types of alopecia, and there are different types of scalp disorders. So when it comes to a consultation, the first thing I'm looking for, I can look at the appearance of the hair, but my first thing is to see exactly what's going on with the scalp. So at that time, when I'm doing my assessment, I'm going in to see exactly what type of scalp ailment they have. Mind you, I don't diagnose. I'm just able to recognize certain things. So when it comes to the hair, and what are they doing? Their diet, their lifestyle, their water intake, their nutrients, with vitamins, with medication they're on, all that. So when it comes to the hair, your body can sometimes be depleted of certain nutrients that it needs. It could have an iron deficiency, a vitamin D deficiency. It could be where a person may be on medication, dealing with their thyroid, where it controls the hair, the whole endocrine system. They could be on blood pressure medication, diabetes, medication can cause it. Okay. But what I find too is a lot of people have gone through COVID where they've had, issues with COVID. But when it comes to the hair loss, you can have traction alopecia. You can have androgenetic alopecia, which is male-female pattern baldness. You can have telogen effluvium after, like you can say, fever, or after an incident. You can have, let's see, let me keep going here. You can have it where you have trichotillomania, where you're pulling, where it's a self-inflicted form of hair loss. Some people just take their hair and they just swirl their hair and pull their hair out, may pull their eyebrows, their eyelashes, their skin, so it really depends. And a person can have more than one form of hair loss at the same time. So when it comes to, let's say, traction, a lot of times individuals wear braids, and I know you probably would like to talk about protective styling, but when it comes to braids and ponytails, in the African-American community, what I find is, starting as a child, okay, let's just say when we were kids, the parents pulled our hair in little ponytails and with the rubber bands, and it was tight. That started it all right then. Then we went to the era of the Jerry curls, and we went into the relaxers, and so that was actually it changes the texture of the hair when you start dealing with chemicals. So I find when you're dealing with the hair and starting as a child, and then you're putting in chemicals on top of that, you're actually affecting the hair really before the child really develops.
Wow. So is there ever a safe age when it comes to chemicals on the scalp? Is there really ever, like in our worst case, in our best case scenario, would you say wait till you're like 18, 21, or just be, because we know we're not supposed to do it at all. So, we know we're not supposed to do it.
Let's say this. Okay, I'm completely natural now. There were times when I wore relaxers. However, I didn't relax my hair often, maybe 3 times out of the year. But what I find is a lot of people are getting relaxers, and they're not going to a professional to get those relaxers, and they're overlapping the relaxer. A relaxer, when a relaxer is being applied, it's not supposed to be put on it's not intended to be put on the skin or the scalp. Some individuals are not basing the scalp when they're putting the relaxers on. They're not cautious when they're on medication and getting a chemical.
Yeah.
When it comes to a relaxer and getting a virgin application, there's a technique that you use when you're applying it as a virgin, and there's a technique that you're applying it when it's a retouch only. So that's at any age. My advice is, when a person decides they want a chemical, there are some people who say, hey, natural is not for me, it's too much work, I don't want to do it. I suggest them going to a licensed hairstylist to receive that service, and speak to the hair service provider to let them know what medications they're on, what health conditions they have. Because a person who does not have any health issues, or maybe not any hormonal changes, or anything they're deficient in, a person who does not have those issues compared to a person who does, their hair may not react the same.
And that's something that the person needs to be self-aware of, but a professional also needs to ask. It sounds
Yeah,
like there needs
that's
to also
correct.
be,
That's correct.
because it doesn't, every stylist isn't the same or aware, and they surely are not all trichologists to know what to even look for sometimes. But I have heard that medication is a big piece of why a lot of people sometimes start to experience those changes, and you're not sure what's going on. Like all of a sudden my scalp is drier or oilier, or my hair is falling. And it could be linked to the medication changes that they're taking or whatever. So that's really interesting. And I just want, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Then also sometimes starting and stopping medication.
Really interesting. Okay. Now we talked a little bit about, you mentioned growing up and some of our customs and some of our products. What are your thoughts on hair grease? What
Lord. Okay. So this is one of the things we came up with greasing the scalp, all right, and some people still do. But what I normally recommend is when you're going in and you're just greasing the scalp every day, all day, you're putting grease on the scalp, you're not allowing the hair to breathe properly.
A lot of grease, y'all. Every day is a lot.
So, I mean, it's okay if you're putting in a little grease on the scalp maybe once or twice out the week, but grease on the scalp every day, you're not allowing that scalp to breathe properly as it should. And if a person has a scalp ailment and they're just putting grease on top, it's just laying on the hair shed. It's not really penetrating as it should anyway.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You got a little body, just put a little heart out there, and it sounds like everybody is in agreement. This is so much great information. So again, thank you. Really quick, because I know we kind of talked about a little bit of these other things. I was curious about men and their hair care and, well, let's say scalp care. Are they pretty what in similar issues, or is it completely different types of issues when men start losing hair versus women? And what do you see?
Well, when it comes to a man, most men, it could be genetics, it could be stress. When it comes to hats, I find also too toxins and pollutants. We're here in Louisiana, a lot of chemical plants, toxins and pollutants, things that are inhaling. Some of the men that actually come to me with the hair loss issues, some of them, work in a plant where they're wearing a hard hat all the time.
Wow. I never thought that. So true. And they're working in plants and
hard hats, you have toxins and pollutants they're inhaling. Sometimes it depends on like the testosterone level. It depends on if there's vellus hair there or, terminal hair there. And mind you, vellus hair is like peach fuzz. Terminal hair is the hair that can grow up to 3 feet long. It's the thicker hairs. So vellus hair is like the hair on your eyebrows. Okay. Vellus hair is like, the hair that we have that grows long.
Okay. We all learned something today, y'all. Don't know what you're talking about. Really cool. That's really cool information, because we don't usually hear that very common in hair care, especially in cosmetic industry. You hear curly hair or textured hair, but not to the science of it, which is why we really wanted to have this talk, because there's so many questions that I have on that science level, and I know a lot of people are so interested. Like Miss at S Medicine 57 said, yes, we did! ! So let's move on. So another thing, because I know it's getting a little later and I don't want to steal all your evening time, what are your thoughts on, so in hair care, and we talked about this a little bit with YouTube, there's a lot of rice water, a lot of coconut oil, a lot of like blending of things. Let's just say blending of things. And I know everyone has good intentions, I'm sure. I really do believe that. But we're not all professionals. So, my product started at home, and then I went to a chemist and a lab, and eventually was able to go that route. But one, that is not always easy or feasible to do. And there are a lot of people who really do stand by their at-home stuff. So what are your thoughts on what to maybe steer away from when it comes to maybe the rice waters or the coconut oils? Are those okay? Or maybe we need to stay away from the essential oil? Like what do you see in there?
So when a person is doing essential oil, they have to make sure they're using a carrier oil. That's number one. There are certain essential oils using pure from scratch, they can cause irritation, burning. When it comes to like coconut, as you said, there are certain oils that are beneficial for the hair. However, coconut oil is not really harsh, but it can be harsh. So there's a flip side to that. It can have, the fatty acids, that can help with the hair, but at the same time, too, if you use it every day, all day, leaving it for long periods of time, it can also leave a buildup on the hair and scalp.
Yeah. It's true. And for me personally, I've learned my relationship with coconut oil in my hair versus other people who like might swear by it. And I try to stay away from telling people do only this, because I don't know what's going to work for you. That might work just fine for you. I'm not putting coconut oil all over my hair. It's not going to happen. Like, I cannot do it. But I do think that there's, like you said, like there's some benefits to starting that way, but then there's also things we need to be aware of, that if it doesn't work for you, probably steer away. Just because it's on YouTube or whatever doesn't necessarily mean it's for you. Yeah.
YouTube, I mean, everything is out there, from changing the battery to whatever is on YouTube. Now, mind you, I use YouTube sometimes to fix things or change a light or fix something, but when it comes to the hair, or it comes to something from an internal standpoint that you have to actually take, or something that can affect you, you have to be real cautious and consult with a professional.
Yeah.
There are a lot of products out there, and I'm sure there are a lot of products that could work. However, everything is not a one size fit all. Everything is not for everybody, and speak to a professional, no matter what it is. If it's something for the health, or if it's a hair product, speak to someone who's knowledgeable and knows what certain products to use. And just because, like you said, because one, coconut oil may have worked for one person, it may not work for the next person, because it really depends on that hair texture, if the hair is more resistant, but, it's building a relationship with the hair.
Yeah.
And the scalp, really.
That's true. Building a relationship with the hair and the scalp. And women, we all have a relationship with our hair and our scalp, 100%. So last little personal fun things before we wrap up. And if y'all have questions, this is the time now to put it in the chat. As far as giveaways, I see some very active folks in our comment section. So I certainly will be following up with several of you about some free products that I want to share with you. But we're going to have an official giveaway. So if you were here on this call, I will have your handle, and then we'll do our official giveaway where you're actually going to get a paid for consultation. Okay, so make sure you participate, put your questions in if you have any. So before we get into that, fill in this question for us, this sentence. I wish I knew blank when I was blank.
Okay, I wish I knew it takes more than praying and having faith to get things done.
Yo, that's a good one.
Oh, Lord.
That's a good one. Can you dive into that?
Yes, because when you want things in life, no matter what it is, you have to work for it. Nothing is going to be given to you. Yeah. So you're supposed to have faith and trust God and believe for everything that you want to have. But faith without works is dead. So if you're not getting up and having your mindset and speaking things into existence, and yeah, you can speak into existence, but it's still going to take work. You have to put action to the things that you're believing God for.
Yes. Effort. And I believe it comes, you take a step forward, life takes a step to you. You take a step, life takes a step to you. You're sitting still on the couch waiting for life to happen.
And guess what? If you get knocked down, you just get knocked down, you dust yourself off, and you just keep it moving. That's going to happen a couple of times. Yeah. Especially when the entrepreneurs on here, you're going to get knocked down. There are going to be a couple doors slammed in your face, or there may be some no's, there may be some yes. But whatever it is, one thing I've learned about God, I don't want to start preaching, y'all. No. But one thing I would learn about God, anything that is for you is going to be for you. It may not come when you want it, but it's all in His divine time. Mm-hmm. And just because something was a no today, it doesn't mean in the next year it'll be a no again. Right. Whatever you have for you is for you. And it's going to happen at the right time, better than you could ever think or imagine.
Right. Faith without works is dead. Somebody else put that in there. And got a question, so I'm going to pivot real quick. I want to make sure I get Candace's question in. She asked, are there any simple scalp care tips you would have for entrepreneurs when they're just too busy to focus on hair care?
Okay. Wow. So what I find is, and thank you, Candace, for this question. what I find is when people sometimes come in, they entrepreneurs, you know, they're busy doing their own thing. I find that some are turning to protective styles or, you know, wigs and weaves, you know, just because of the time. But what I find is when it comes to the hair and scalp, if you're going to wear weaves or you're going to wear a wig and you're in between shampoos, at least use some type of antiseptic or something for the scalp. Don't go a month or so without cleaning your scalp. If you're going to wear braids and you're not going to get the braids, I mean, you know, done again until, you know, such and such amount of time. But scalp health is so important because what happens is a scalp disorder can eventually turn into hair loss. So, Miss Candace, to answer your question, anytime you're on the go and you're busy, just make sure that it really depends on your hairstyle. So I normally tell, depending on the hair texture, for ethnic hair, I normally say at least once a week shampoo and condition the hair. You know, making sure the hair stays hydrated, especially during this time of year, the hair begins to get it's a little more dry. And it's also knowing your hair, building a relationship with your hair. And if you're not a person, you're not a hair person, or you're on the go all the time, just make sure that you know, you're sleeping with something. If you're wearing your own hair, you're sleeping with something satin or silk on your hair to protect your hair. When it comes to the scalp, making sure from internal standpoint that you're staying hydrated with enough water as well.
Ooh, that's so true. Oh my God, listen, the water thing is not a game, y'all. Listen, when I get water, my skin gets tight, my lips start cracking, like I'm going backwards instead of forward, like I get shriveled. She said she's been wearing braids for months, LOL, back to back. I was the same. I just recently kind of gave my break, but yes, braids. She said wearing braids.
So Miss Candace, in between getting your braids, it's real simple. Here's a quick tip, and I hope this helps you. Get a color, like a color bottle, or I guess, you know, those bottles that they have in restaurants where they have ketchup and all that in there. Get a new bottle like that, put your shampoo in there, add some water to shake it up to dilute it, drop it on the scalp, and just massage that scalp under the shower. So that way, in between that time, you can shampoo the hair 2 to 3 times, condition it the same way, and then rinse it out, put your leave-in conditioner. You can also put maybe a little oils or something like that on the hair, and that'll be simple as pie. But don't go from your first install of your braids and not shampoo it again. In between the time when you do shampoo it, you can also use an antiseptic, and that can kind of help clean your scalp. You know, it doesn't take the place of a shampoo, but at least it's better than not doing anything on there. And then when you're wearing those braids, just be careful too, not having any traction alopecia, because anytime you're wearing your hair the same way all the time, or you're pulling the hair, you're going to get traction alopecia.
Okay. Now tell us this, because you mentioned this a few times, and I know with different styles that we have, the traction alopecia is probably really common, it sounds.
Yes.
What do you notice? Like, what should we notice when it's like, oh, wait a minute, this might be traction alopecia? Like, what would you notice? Is it that the hair is getting thin, or is it getting red, or it
can eventually get red where it's causing issues with the scalp. But when you first started noticing with traction alopecia, the hair becomes to get miniaturized, where it becomes to get weaker in those areas. In most cases, traction is pulling around the front hairline, around the perimeter. It can be from wearing hair up a lot, pulling in tight ponytails, you know, and eventually traction alopecia can, you know, turn into like the braids and stuff, folliculitis, where it's inflaming your hair follicles. And I thank you also for someone who said application bottle. Thank you. It's an application bottle.
Yeah. And at that girl Trish said when you start balding. So are there things that some of the signs that you mentioned? Oh, I'm so sorry. She said it happened to her sister. Some of the signs it sounds like could happen even before the balding happens, that there are some signs that you could kind of notice before that point, to where you need to go to a professional probably as soon as possible. Is that
traction is pulling tension. That's what traction means. Alopecia is just, you know, any form of hair loss anywhere part of your body. So traction is the pulling, the tightness, the tension. And, you know, that's typically caused from tight ponytails, from the weaves, the braids. And then it can, for long periods of time, you know, leaving in braids for long periods of time, or tight braids. You know, some people, they like the braids tight, or some people braid tight, but it's not healthy on the hair. Now, if a person is going out of town and they just want a quick style for some braids or something like that, going on vacation, hey, that's fine, but not every day, all day. And I totally respect what the entrepreneur said as far as, you know, on the go. And she's starting out somewhere. She wants to know how can she get better, you know. So when it comes to the pulling, and then some people are getting relaxers and they're getting the braids. That's not healthy either.
And I know we and I wanted to share that, Trish, we're really sorry for your sister, and we hope that it did get better. You know, you don't have to share, don't, but it's totally okay. And before you go, two last questions that I had. So if y'all have questions, hurry up. She's trying to get to dinner. What would you say is your mantra? What keeps you going? What do you say to yourself, if you don't mind sharing?
I don't mind.
That keeps you going.
What keeps me going is when I see how I've helped someone else restore their confidence back. That's what gives me the burst of energy. Seeing the before and afters, being able to you know, help people. That's what I truly enjoy above anything, being able to help people, being able to help restore, you know, the emotional distress of how they maybe felt, you know, by their hair or scalp issue.
Yeah, I can tell. We can all tell you're very, very passionate. Thank you. There's so much I'm sure you all want to ask and know, but you got to pay for that time, because I used up all her time. I do appreciate it. Like I said, I'm going to follow up with you. I would love to talk one-on-one again. And just again, thank you. You guys, please make sure you follow her page, okay? And that is super. Oops, what just happened to my text? I want you to make sure you follow her page. It is AHTC, Anointed Hands. So y'all already understand where we're coming from here, okay? Anointed Hands, AHTC _4 FOR _ hair loss. It will be tagged in the post as well as the giveaway post. I can see who's been super active, and I appreciate you all for coming, for your questions. If you have follow-up questions, feel free to send them to me and I will make sure to forward, or you can send them to her through her messaging. Again, we're doing a giveaway for a consultation, which is a very special thing, and she is local here in Louisiana. She's in Gonzales, actually. So if you're interested in that specifically, and you would want that consultation with her in person, please let me know. Just send us a DM so I know which type of giveaway, because I don't want to give away a consultation to someone who's never going to use it. Okay, right. It just doesn't. And we are supporting our Louisiana founders, our Louisiana entrepreneurs, our Louisiana supporters, customers. So that's really important to me. So happy Black History Month to everyone. Ynohtna, thank you again. It has meant so much. Hopefully we'll see you again for some of these. We'll have to work.
Thank you, and thanks everyone for joining in tonight.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. So you have a great night. I'm going to hit you up. Everyone, thank you so much. Sure. Have a great night and peace.
You all have a good night, and thanks for joining.
Yes,
take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.